how do you get to the nub of these things? It's been an art of over 16 years or more for me to even exclude things that I think are very relevant. But you can't, you have to edit, you have to chop it up a bit. So, but that's why I love these interviews you and I are doing, so we can get into a few of the other things, or at least underline things that didn't come across properly, or you might have been passed over. And there's so many of those. But the mutable thing is very important because, yeah, cardinal, fixed, mutable is a concept in astrology, and you won't find very many astrologers even know what it pertains to. And I really mean that. It's been a mystery for a long, long time. Everyone's got their theory, and none of them are very cogent or coherent. I believe you find the secret in the work of Hegel and Jacob Boehm and early mystics, because what it really boils down to is that the cardinal is nothing more than the outflowing of energy in a more raw state before it takes a form. Then you have the fixed, which is the ability of the energy to take a form. And then you've got the mutable, which is it now has learned a lot about that form, and it's ready to move out of it or to release itself back into the nucleus, back into the plasma. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Now, this particular rule or equation can be broken. It's not perfect. And sometimes it can be very difficult, like in the star card, which is a fixed card, and yet everything about that card appears to be moving. So how on earth would anybody, discover why is this card fixed? Why is Aquarius fixed? When every other trait, Kabbalistically, imagistically, taroscopically, appears to be about movement. And then, one has to understand, but there's a little deception within every card. And within the star card is a thing that can fixate you. So it's not only about movement. There is something that can trip you up or chain you, but it's much more subtle than the things that we've seen in the devil card and in the and the tower. Same thing in the moon card. Here's the mutability. So the mutability can be, oh yeah, I'm good. But the virtue is because I've moved out of a form. I occupy no form. I'm the dancer. I flow here. I flow there. I'm wonderfully free. I get into forms, but I know I don't identify with the form. So I move beyond it whenever I feel like. I'm like water. And we know that there's virtues about that. Bruce Lee talked about the beauty of water and how it can fill a pot or take a shape, and how wonderful that is for very fixed people to embody those traits of fluidity, because there's an art of that. It's very much part of the Tao. Right? The Tao has always been described as moving and formless. And my God, do we need that in our urbanized, cubicalized world? But isn't there also the negative there that says, oh, well, I see that you don't identify with any form then. Well, that's nice and hippie of you. That's a nice Dionysian way to be. That means you have probably no morals. That probably means you have no boundaries. So energy being released from a form can have the positive, but also the negative. By not identifying with any form, are we talking about a sort of suffering less state? And we talk about crocodile tears and crocodile emotions. Is that what this half light of the moon is? Actually, the card could be misnamed. We can get into that later, maybe about the misnaming of the card. But just the name of the moon, the card, and then the image on it, sort of a half, kind of a sun at dusk, or even the moonlight itself, a half light that throws as many shadows as it does, beams that maybe is only a certain kind of light that only reflects, only reveals certain things but deceives another. Yeah, is that what it's all about? A kind of light that isn't quite bright enough to show us the full meaning of things, but that casts a lot of shadows that we then start taking for reality.